So, hello everyone. This is Joe Brewer here at the Design School for Regenerating Earth. And today I am excited to share a very big announcement. So, this presentation is going to offer you a vision of our work for 2024 and many changes and updates that we're making to the design school based on our learnings from the first year of running the school. And so I'm very excited to get started. So first of all, just as a reminder, in 2023, we did a lot. We birthed the design school. We prototyped these bioregional activations in many landscapes around the world, mostly in North America. And then we experimented with different leadership models for collaborating with landscape leaders and with funding processes. And we offered a lot of different learning supports, webinars, trainings, and so on. And we provided funding to key processes from the money that has come in to the school through the membership dues. And through this whole process, we have learned a lot. And so now for 2024, what we're doing is taking all these learnings and realizing that we need to significantly update the model of the design school. So when we started the design school, we thought that it would have a structure something like this, where the design school would give birth to a planetary network of bioregions, and that as we activated different bioregions, they would become part of this extending mycelial network. And what we came to discover was actually we have a model where there is a focus on how to regenerate the entire Earth, and then there's just a lot of different activities around it that are a bit messy and complicated and that need to be clarified. And so, taking this understanding that we're trying to regenerate the entire Earth and there's a really complicated mess of stuff around it, we realized that we could simplify this by dividing the work into two key sort of thematic domains. One is, how do we steward the vision of a bioregional Earth? How do we steward the vision of the human presence as part of the planet, organized as bioregions, and then give birth to a planetary network of bioregions? And as we do all of that complex work, that means we need to simplify the structure of the design school and separate some key elements out so that there will be some things that are focused on the vision of bioregional Earth, and then other things that are part of the design school. And the design school is serving the vision of bioregional Earth in a support role. Now, in the last year, you could say we've been engaged in a giant experiment and things have blown up in our faces and it's been really complex and messy, and we've really learned a lot. And just as a reminder from one of our recent design school updates, we did a lot in the last year. We did activation processes in the Colorado Basin and the Great Lakes and Cascadia, and we offered all kinds of supports and learnings as summarized in this graphic. And through this process, we've gained many key insights. And so what I want to do now is offer something of a harvest of our major learnings in the first year. And here I'm going to offer four. The first one is that these processes that we call bioregional activations require very clear invitation. And so we're getting much better understanding of what makes it likely that a bioregional activation will be successful based on how we are invited into the landscape. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that later. We also realize that the local organizers who invite a bioregional activation need to have greater capacity for carrying the effort forward afterwards. And this is a major element of the success or the failure of a bioregional activation process. We also learned through the collaborative governance processes that we've explored in the first year that most of the local leaders we work with are too busy in their own local landscapes to really engage in organizing at the scale of larger landscape processes at the continental or the planetary scale. And simultaneously, because we at the design school are so busy holding the complexities of what we're doing, that it's difficult for us to give the attention that is needed for participatory governance with these local leaders who themselves are so busy in their own landscapes. And this means we need to rethink how governance works for the design school. In the midst of all of this, Penny and myself, as the sort of key leaders of the design school, have been carrying the complexities of this work in a way that has absolutely overwhelmed us. It's threatened our personal health, and our health has deteriorated continuously through the last year. And it's created many challenges for us that we're hoping the changes that we're about to share will enable us to live a healthier and more balanced way while supporting the richness of this work. And we hope that this will address many of the challenges that we've faced. One of the things we've learned is that we need to clearly separate the global work, the vision of stewarding bioregional Earth that Penny and I do, from the more focused activities of the design school, which means we need to narrow and clarify the scope of the design school within a larger vision. So with that in mind, I want to step out to that larger vision and talk about what it means for Penny and I to steward the vision of Bioregional Earth, because we're really doing a lot of things, and these things are somewhat connected to the design school, but some of them happen externally or beyond the activities of the design school. For example, we are what we might call curators of continental regeneration. What this means is that Penny and I, as human beings, not necessarily as representatives of the design school, just as human beings, are holding the narrative of what it will take to regenerate entire continents. This is where we talk about the story of regenerating the Colorado Basin or regenerating the Great Lakes, these larger continental scale processes. And we're going to continue to hold the complexities of that work. And we're also stewards of Bioregional Earth, which means we care a lot about the vision of this work. We help to weave networks and partnerships with different communities and different groups around the world around funding, collaboration, people who have similar vision, and trying to build coherence around the planetary scale. Also, we offer strategic counsel to different landscape leaders and different community networks and alliance partners to help support the building of coherence for this massively complex planetary vision. And of course, we do a lot of work focusing our time on these bioregional activations where Penny and I travel to the greater Takaranto bioregion, or like we did in May, traveled from the headwaters to the sea along the Colorado Basin, or as we did in October, traveled throughout the Cascadia bioregion, holding bioregional activations. And this is something that takes up a lot of our time. As we're doing all of this work, we also really focus strongly on integrity of relationships and information so that there can be a flow of resources and supports into landscapes and between them. This includes building relationships with funders and moving funding into landscapes. It includes creating contexts and frameworks for the healthy learning exchanges between bioregional learning processes, and it helps us support the people who are weaving their own bioregions. And at the same time, we're partners in Barichara Regenerativa, which is the territorial foundation that I'm a co-founder of, as we're doing our own bioregional weaving work in Barichara, Colombia. And as we're doing all of this work as stewards of the vision of Bioregional Earth, we are also hosts of the design school. And you can see, just looking at this, that this is an overwhelming amount of responsibility and work that we hold. And this is why we really need to clarify how to simplify the structure of the design school so that we can see how it fits within this larger vision. And what we've discovered is this, is that we can simplify the structure of the design school while maintaining most of its core capacities as they existed before, all of its core capacities in a new form, by organizing around learning journeys. And so I'll be talking about this more in a moment, but we found that organizing around learning journeys brings deep coherence to the work we're doing, from the landscapes in the world all the way through to the planetary vision. And this means we want to create containers and scaffolding and supportive spaces to teach people how to design for regeneration at the bioregional scale. The second way that we're simplifying the structure of the design school is focusing on how do we support bioregional learning exchanges, something we've already been doing a lot in the first year. And this means we're going to focus a lot of attention on how do people learn from each other from one bioregion to another or from one landscape to another. Now, for this to be able to work, we need to simplify the membership model of the design school so that it's easier to understand how to participate. And this means that everyone in the design school, after we have implemented the changes that we're about to share, everyone will have the same kind of membership. And we'll talk about how we had two kinds of membership last year. That created some confusion. And now we're moving to a single membership model that'll make it a lot easier to understand how to relate to what's happening in the design school. And so when we look at these simplifying structures of the design school, let's start with learning journeys. So we have offered that we're going to give a learning journey called Birthing of Bioregional Learning Centers, and that this is scheduled to begin in January. Well, as we organize around online courses like this learning journey, we'll be able to create a rhythm and a tempo to the activities and focus our efforts so that we can create the structure to support landscape efforts in real-world landscapes. So the Birthing of Bioregional Learning Centers is a great example because we'll be teaching people, what is a bioregional learning center? How do you begin to organize the existing education activities in your landscape? And the participants of this learning journey will be people who live in different landscapes who are attempting to do this, and we'll be giving them supports to learn within their landscape and supports to learn across and between their landscapes. And as a key update, the changes that we're making are so big that we're actually going to delay and push back the launch of this learning journey. So the Birthing of Bioregional Learning Centers will begin in March. We're about to announce this to people who have enrolled, and we'll be updating this in our public communications. But I wanted to let you know that we're making a lot of changes, so we're going to push back this learning journey until March. And briefly, just to give you a flavor of this learning journey, the Birthing of Bioregional Learning Centers is going to be a 6-month course that will be available for $50, which is an annual membership to the design school. So you sign up for an annual membership for the very low cost of $50, and you'll get to join this 6-month facilitated learning journey. The first half, the first 3 months of the learning journey, will focus on theory and concepts to help create shared language and shared understandings for people all over the world that are starting to organize themselves bioregionally. And then the second half of the learning journey will be on the design and build of bioregional learning centers in landscapes, including the possibility of funding supports from the Design School Fund. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And so the idea here is we're going to organize the key operations of the design school around these learning journeys to structure and build coherence in our rhythm and our focus and our events and activities so members of the design school know how they can participate. Now, as we do this, we need to support bioregional learning exchanges. We already have a section of our Mighty Networks platform called Bioregional Learning Exchange, and we're going to reorganize a lot of the content that currently exists in different places on Mighty Networks into this space. And Penny will be sharing more about those changes later. But basically what this means is that the design school will be reorganized to focus on how do we hold space for bioregional updates so people who are doing work in their landscapes can share with each other and learn together what is happening in one landscape that can support and accelerate what needs to happen in another. This has been one of the most valuable parts of the design school in the first year, and so we're going to make this a major focus of what we do in the second year. We really want to help landscapes to weave within their landscapes and between landscapes using learning journeys as the structure. And so as we create shared language, shared ideas, sharing models and approaches for how to do bioregional regeneration, we see the learning journeys as the rhythm of activities that will help hold the scaffolding of these learning exchanges. This is how we'll cultivate that shared language and grow the coherence of our efforts through shared approaches. Those of you who are familiar with the design school already will be familiar with this platform for bioregional regeneration and the 3 pillars of bioregional learning centers, how to weave a tapestry of local projects organized into holistic landscapes, and territorial governance processes for collaborative funding and governance. This platform for bioregional regeneration will become an organizing framework for shared language and shared approaches for the different landscapes. And we'll be teaching this through our learning journeys and holding supportive spaces around how to learn this work. And you can start to see that by organizing as learning journeys and holding space for learning exchanges, there's an incredible amount of coherence that comes into being. And this leads to the simplified membership model, because when we started the design school, we only had a design level membership, so it didn't have any other name. And then a few months later, we created two memberships, what we called the community level and the design level, and had different access to different things. And actually, it wasn't a very coherent distinction. And we continually had confusion within ourselves as strategists for evolving the school and for members to participate. What really is the difference between these? And what we found is it actually doesn't make sense. And so we're going to merge these two levels of membership into one, and there will just be design school members. But because we want to have ways for the membership dues to support our work, we want the membership dues to be able to go into the design school fund, which means as you pay your membership dues, you can choose how much you want to contribute to the school and how much you want to contribute into the design school fund, which will be recirculated and reinvested into our different activities. And so that means as a design school member, you might sign up for $5 a month, or for $10 a month, or $25 or $50. You see that basically you can choose just like you would on Patreon or as a monthly recurring contribution, that you can basically contribute to the school at different levels. And so these changes of membership level and of ways of engaging are going to take place between now and March. So we'll give more information about how you can change your membership or how you will be affected by these changes. We're going to roll them out over the first 2 months of the new year so that the changes will take place between now and March. So stay tuned for more information. Now, as we're doing this work to simplify the design school, there are going to be several noteworthy changes, and I just want to briefly mention them now. One thing is we have experimented a lot with collaborative leadership in the first year. Some things have worked, some things haven't, and there's been a lot of learning. And so I just want to forecast to you that we're communicating with different groups within the design school about how we'll be changing the collaborative leadership. So one thing is that we had created a leadership council, and that leadership council hasn't really worked very well because of this combination of leaders within landscapes being very busy and having limited capacity to participate. And the holding of the complexity of all of this work limits our capacity as the design school to build those fully participatory structures, which means we're going to be dissolving the Leadership Council in its current form. We've already communicated with the members of the council about how we're going to navigate this transition. And as we do this, we're going to open up new spaces for member-led offerings. So if you're a member of the design school and you would like to contribute to the design school in meaningful ways, there will be plenty of opportunities to do that. So you can think about hosting a learning journey of your own, offering courses or themed dialogues around topics that are of interest to you or that you want to share with other members. You could host book clubs or other learning activities. So we'll be providing and maintaining the space for you to do that. We're just going to be restructuring and simplifying so it's easier for you to see how to do this. And the Leadership Council that existed before, we're going to dissolve its current structure, which really didn't work very well for the reasons I already outlined. And we're going to slowly and conscientiously move toward a Stewardship Council of Bioregional Earth as we invite people who want to steward the global vision. So if you're interested in working at the level of Bioregional Earth, you can reach out to Penny and me directly, or just wait and see how we invite you into that process throughout the coming year as we make all of these changes. So what we see is that the leadership of this work is actually better held at the planetary scale, whereas the design school itself, because it's going to become more organized around learning journeys and bioregional learning supports, that we need to refocus on clarifying how we hold those structures clearly and then moving the collaborative leadership into the learning exchanges and toward the planetary vision in a clear, methodical, and thoughtful way throughout the coming months. Another noteworthy change is that the Design School Fund, which is all of the membership dues that people pay to become members of the Design School, have been pooled into a fund, and we allocated some of the money from that fund into different processes this year. We actually had a round of experimentation of $5,000 from the Design School Fund that went to support a leadership retreat in the Colorado Basin and the Regenerate Cascadia Activation Tour. And we're going to maintain this process of experimentation and investing in regenerative processes, but we're going to run these experiments within the learning journeys, which means the learning journey on birthing of bioregional learning centers, the Design School Fund will be able to bring some financial resources to support the participants in that learning journey in ways that we will share as we update the way that we talk about that learning journey. So stay tuned. But just think of it this way, that the Design School Fund will allow us to bring financial resources to support the learning journeys in new ways, while at the same time continuing to cover the operating expenses of the Design School and to cover operating expenses as we set up Bioregional Earth, things like web hosting, Mighty Networks, Zoom accounts, and so on. And as we grow the Design School, we may add some possible staff if needed, and the Design School Fund will be able to help support that. So you can see that the way that we bring in membership dues and treat the school as a commons will continue to be at the heart of our work, and we're going to be moving into a clearer and more coherent way to integrate it into the learning journeys and learning exchanges in these ways. Another noteworthy change is that we've learned a lot about bioregional activations and how they work and how they don't work. And one thing we've realized is that Penny and I will continue offering bioregional activations, but we'll need to be specifically invited, and that we are going to share more clarity about the criteria and the design principles for how the invitations that come in will be acceptable, because we're getting so many invitations that we can't possibly say yes to all of them. And this has to do with Indigenous principles around reciprocity, which were gifted to us by Jay Bowen, who's an Indigenous elder in the Skagit Valley, someone that we met during the Regenerate Cascadia tour. So we'll be sharing more about how bioregional activations work in a future communication. And one of the things we've learned, as I mentioned before, is that bioregional activations really work well when there's local organizing capacity, there's integrity of leadership to carry forward after a bioregional activation has occurred. And we'll be sharing more information about how this works and how we can support the cultivation of this capacity so that the landscapes that invite us to do a bioregional activation can carry things forward afterwards, which is going to be really important for sustaining and deepening the learning exchanges between bioregions as we continue to expand our work. Now, another noteworthy change is that we're going to organize the rhythm of activities around the school around natural cycles. And so basically it's going to work like this. There will be learning journeys offered by Penny and myself, which will be a core structuring of the rhythm of the school. So the first learning journey is scheduled from the spring equinox to the fall equinox of the Northern Hemisphere. Or said another way, we're going to have a 6-month learning journey that runs from March through September, from the beginning of spring to the beginning of fall. And so we're going to use that solar cycle to organize that half of the year will be a learning journey that organizes a lot of the activities of the school. During that time of the learning journey, there can be concurrent member-hosted activities, like we mentioned. A member could host a themed dialogue or a book club or their own learning journey, and that there will be clear pathways for members of the design school to offer those, and they will happen in parallel with the learning journeys that Penny and I are offering. And then during the off season, which is during the half of the year when we don't have a learning journey going, which is basically September through March, we'll host ongoing design sessions, bioregional updates, and other themed dialogues and webinars that will just continue to build our capacities when we're not hosting a learning journey. And we're going to start to offer, instead of design school updates, we're going to start offering bioregional Earth updates on the lunar cycle, which is to say once every cycle of the moon, every 28 days, roughly once a month, we'll be giving major updates about the global work of the Bioregional Earth Vision, as well as activities of the design school. And now you can see that the rhythm of our activities will be connected to the cycle of the Earth going around the sun and the cycles of the moon, as we basically learn how to live bioregionally and as planetary citizens within the design school. What this means is we're making all of these changes, is that we'll be making changes to the Mighty Networks platform as part of the process. So Penny is already planning to reach out to any of you who are involved in hosting a geographic space or who participate in different activities of the design school that you've been in before. We have a welcome team, there's an inner space, there are lots of other activities that happen within the design school. So Penny's going to be reaching out to you if you are a member or a leader of one of those spaces to help facilitate the transition as we make changes in the design school. But just for now, we hope that you will practice kindness and forgiveness and understanding as we make changes in the next few months, because we're going to be implementing all of these changes between now and March. So just be ready for those changes, and we'll be reaching out to you if they affect you specifically. So to summarize, in the last year, we held a huge experiment and we learned a lot. And what we realized was that to be able to move forward, we need to clarify that stewarding the vision of Bioregional Earth is different from the management of the design school. And that means the design school needs to become more simplified and focus on how we can organize around learning journeys, support bioregional learning exchanges, and have a simplified membership model, and then bring the participatory collaboration and governance and other more complex issues to the bioregional Earth scale so that the design school can continue to function in a clear and coherent way. So now the timeline for all of this works as follows. That between January and March, we're going to be preparing some big changes. And then between March and September, we will run the first learning journey, the birthing of bioregional learning centers. Between now and the start of that learning journey, we will implement changes on the Mighty Networks platform to move toward the simplified membership model, and that we will continue to support bioregional learning exchanges during the transition, and we will integrate them into the learning journey. And as we're doing this organizing of the design school around learning journeys, we will continue to steward the vision of Bioregional Earth as a sort of overarching umbrella to hold the containers of the structures of the design school, but that will actually move beyond the design school to other things. And that as all of this is unfolding, what we see is an increasing coherence of the regenerative movement as we participate in this work in our own little part of the world that is the design school, so that we can hold the coherence of shared language, shared models, shared approaches, alliances and strategic council, bioregional activations, all of the other things that we're doing. And you can see that the base of this, as I've depicted visually here, the foundation that the design school builds upon is the structure of learning journeys, and that the learning exchanges and the stewarding of the larger vision will move beyond the design school in some key ways. And our overall vision is to increase coherence of the regenerative movement through the part that we play within the design school as the design school, and Penny and I as human beings as stewards of the vision of Bioregional Earth. So you can see that Penny and I are holding a lot of complexity, and for us to be healthy and to do this coherently, we need to separate out how we understand within ourselves what it means for us to be stewards of the vision of Bioregional Earth and to work with others who are also stewards of that vision, and how we must simplify the structure of the design school so that the design school can function in a clear and coherent way, as we've outlined here. So I hope this makes more sense. We're really excited about what's coming in 2024, and we're looking forward to working with all of you to both implement these changes, but more importantly, to build the coherence of the regenerative movement, to engage in learning exchanges with each other, and to support all of you in your own landscapes, in your own lives, as we go about this work throughout the next year and beyond. So with that, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for paying attention and listening to this presentation. If you have questions or comments, please share them in the comment thread below or reach out to Penny and I directly, and we'll be happy to answer them to the best of our abilities. And we're really excited to see what we can do together in the next year. So thank you, and onward, fellow humans.